Lily, when you get older, you're going to learn that sometimes in life, shit happens. Bob Trevino likes is currently streaming on Hulu, is written and directed by Tracy Lemon, who's done shorts and television. Check out her IMDb page for the full list of her work. And it centers around Lily, played by Barbie Ferreira from Nope and House of Spoils, who I have to say is a very gifted actress, and I wish nothing but the best for her. And John Leguizamo, who plays Bob Trevino. And Lily, shall we say, is not exactly having the best time in her life. She has a very strained relationship with her dad, French Stewart, who's a full-on prick in this, I'll just say. He plays a great prick. I mean, just a monumentally massive-sized prick in this. And basically ends up just using his daughter for his own means. Just basically just wearing on her and this kind of stuff. And she doesn't really have a lot of friends. I mean, she is an in-care, nurse, shall we say, for Daphne, played by Lauren Lolo Spencer, in a good brief role, I do want to say. And Lily ends up just finding somebody named Bob Trevino on Facebook. Turns out to be played by John Leguizamo. And she ends up just friend requesting him. They develop a friendship. And bingo bango, well fuck, let's see how long it takes me to get through this review without breaking down in tears. It's pretty much like my old ass, just without the time travel aspect. And that is a great coming-of-age drama with some comedy and some very moving stuff. And sure, the story's simple. Maybe it plucks on the heartstrings a little bit too hard for some people, but my God, it is so well-intentioned, but boy, boom, does it hit you in the gut a few times, especially near the end. God damn it. I was going to watch this in theaters, and it's probably a good thing I didn't, because I probably would have been stumbling down the stairs trying to get out, because this is pretty goddamn emotional. It'll hit hard for a lot of people that, have developed friendships with people, like just because they need someone to talk to. You don't need blood to be family. There's a lot of really good stuff about this. And this apparently is based on an interaction that Tracy had in her life. And that's great. That truly is great. And she was able to put that to film. And it ends up being a very moving experience that I recommend you guys check out on Hulu. Great performances. John Leguizamo having definitely an interesting career trajectory, as it were. This is not John Leguizamo from The Happening, even though he was trying in that wasn't necessarily great. Barbie, however, fantastic, magnificent in this, proving that she can be a great lead actress. And Deborah Stipe is in this. Rachel Bay Jones is actually very, very good in this as Jeannie, the wife of Bob. And I even have to shout the counselor, Ashlyn Moore, who has a good brief cameo in this, as opposed to a non-brief cameo. I'm going to get into spoilers, so 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. If you can make it through this movie without tearing up, you're better than me. I will say that much. So, I'm not going to get into the big, minutia of all this, but I will say that as far as something that just lets the story play out and lets these characters just seem like real people, it's nice. Again, French Stewart is a full-on dick here. But yeah, we start with Lily crying as she's looking at a phone. Apparently it was a bad breakup that she had with her guy. And yeah, she talks to a counselor, just named counselor, Ashlyn Moore, who listens to her story and ends up breaking down crying because she's just starting out as a counselor. And that ties back to something a little bit later on. Robert, her dad, basically, essentially just uses her, as a crutch, shall we say. Because the mother got into drugs and left, and even though he tried to take her back and this kind of stuff, he still blames his daughter for a lot of this stuff. And I'm not saying Lily's necessarily perfect, but she also wasn't raised in the best environment, so she was kind of sheltered. And any time that she felt like she could break out and do something, or anytime she got something happy, it got plucked away from her. There was a point where she saved a neighbor's dog, and because she was like 8 or 9 or stuff like that, wanted to dance with it, ended up accidentally pulling on the dog's hind legs too much, trying to dance with it, and the father took the dog away to the pound. Oh, you can't take care of it. Instead of teaching his daughter how to take care of the dog. So Bob works at a construction inspector job, whatever, and works a lot of long hours, putting a lot of stress on his body. More on that here in a bit. There's a guy named Harlan that is in this, and that actor does a pretty good job as well. You may recognize him from a few things. And Bob also is a good husband. Jeannie does scrapbooking. They lost a son. We find that out. The son only lived to be 21 months and 2 days when he wasn't supposed to make it much past whatever. So any day was a blessing. His wife wins a competition for a scrapbooking competition in scrapbooking with something that they made with all the stuff from the kid's short life, and that's got to be tough. That's got to be some tough stuff. But a bit before that, he's like, you know what? We don't have to worry about being tight on money. Anything for that smile, you go buy your stuff, honey. Are they related? Well, no, they aren't related. But again, you don't need blood to be family. This is Bob and Lily, even though they share the same last name. Her mom ran off. He lost his mother 15 years ago. They have some chats. And he doesn't necessarily know exactly how technology works. He's more of a grassroots type of guy. And Jeannie thought it might have been a catfish. Turns out it actually wasn't. And Daphne has the medical condition where it's progressed and she's confined to a wheelchair and she has to basically be helped up a lot. And, on the toilet, off the toilet, this kind of stuff. Toilet ends up getting clogged. So instead of the usual the first meeting she was going to have with Bob, he comes over to help. That's what I do. I help people. He helps her get some supplies. Like even one of those flashlights that you wind up when the power runs out. But he's like, he kind of snaps a little bit when he finds out that Daphne was led to believe that he was her dad. I'm nobody's dad, this kind of stuff. He gets upset, but then he reels it back, realizing how he sounded. And just because we're not related doesn't mean we can't be friends. Because Lily obviously does need that connection and has had a lot of issues. And I could understand some people finding her character a little bit annoying. And with somebody less capable than Miss Ferraria, it actually probably would have been annoying. But no, she actually captures the balance perfectly. Bob also is into looking through a telescope, checking out meteors, looking up at the night sky. This direction, no change. You get that part? No? Good. Or no sighting, that's what it was. So they go camping while Jeannie goes to win the aforementioned scrapbooking championship. He's been making a wish for the past 10 years. Who knows what this wish actually is? It could have something to do with a raise at his job. Could have to do with just wanting a happier life. And then she talks about the animal stuff. He gets her a dog. We don't see the dog again. That was a cute dog. I hope that dog's doing well. I'm not much of a dog person. I'm more of a cat person. But you have seen the dog that is in this house on a few videos, as because whenever I am the only person here, I have to watch him. Daphne also feels alone because once her condition, whatever, got worse, and whatever it is, she felt like her friends didn't want to be around her. Those aren't real friends. You want to be around your friends even if they're at their worst. You want to do your best. So they go out and they go to a place where they're going to break some goddamn stuff. Break some stuff, shatter it apart. That's kind of funny and everything. But she doesn't end up doing it yet. Now she does it a little bit later. And French Stewart ends up calling her. Basically, his name's Robert because it's more regal. And ever since this, bad date that he had where he basically just totally blew her off. Totally blew her off in the worst way possible. That's within the first 20 minutes of this goddamn thing, which led to him having a friendship with John Leguizamo. Now he wants to meet her and possibly make amends. What he actually hands her is a bunch of paper with all the itemized stuff of everything that he spent. That's what you cost me. Like, wow, rude. If Lily was a bad child, I could understand doing this, but she's a good kid, a good young woman, and doesn't deserve that shit. And it's not like Robert was necessarily a great guy. He was never there. He never taught her right. All this and shit. So he guilt-tripped her a lot, basically like saying, hey, I need money and you need to ask this guy Bob for it. But no, I'm not going to do that. She wrote a poem to Bob, and but he doesn't get it yet because she had blown off a meeting with him to meet with her dad. Then he ends up standing up for himself, shows all this stuff to this guy Harlan. all these inspections that he was asked to this kind of stuff, all this stress. And even though he wasn't yelling and wasn't that, sometimes it's just that little bit that pushes you over the edge. Calls his wife, says that he quit his job. Oh, thank God, you have less stress on your life. And then suddenly, he does that, and then he's in the hospital. Now, Lily doesn't know this. Lily ends up trying to find them at Bob's house, and the neighbors call, wondering what the hell this crazy person is. And I'm not saying she's crazy, but from their perspective, wondering what the hell's going on. So her dad does end up picking her up. She crashes at his place, and then she wants to look through the scrapbook album the next morning. Finds all this stuff cut out. All her pictures. Every picture she's part of, just her part, is cut out. Even anything with the mother. And she finally blows up at him. Oh, it was this other woman that did this or whatever. I got her a puppy. You got her a puppy. You made me get rid of this dog, but you got this woman you know for a bit, or for more than 5 minutes, a puppy. And she just vents a lot and screams a lot. Understandably, he throws something to break it, and then she breaks a few things, finally unleashing that tension. And then, she breaks a few more things, this time in the rage room, and then finds out why Bob hasn't contacted her, because Bob died. I'm not laughing at the situation, but like, what the fuck else can she go through? Like, good God. And she was going to go to Southern Indiana. Apparently they're in Louisville, which actually isn't that far from Southern Indiana. I know this because of the Jim Cornette podcast and Experience. Yeah, for those that are longtime wrestling fans, you will know what I'm talking about. And Daphne decides to come with her. And she's like, no, you know what? Actually, I could use a friend. They go. And Bob had made some bad jokes. Bad puns and everything. And she finishes off one, what do you call a cardiologist that flunks out? Heart failure, dude. Almost did. So close. Jeannie, shit. Talks to her and says, hey, I saw the messages and everything. He was getting better and then he wasn't. I didn't want to respond because it wouldn't have been fair. And she says, come out to the truck. Shows her a scrap. I'm fine. Shows her a scrapbook, and it's all the chats, all the receipts, any pictures they took, and the poem all written out. Whew. I'm going to go outside, I think, and process this. Look, this could be seen, I guess, as cheesy. It could be seen as, okay, it comes out of nowhere. Not necessarily. Everything makes sense. Yeah, this gets an A+. This got to me pretty much like my old ass. A lot of people were crying in that theater, by the way. I saw that as a mystery movie. Yeah, A+. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna leave here. I'm gonna stop this. So let me know your thoughts in the comment. Great stuff, by the way. Great performances and everything. Give Miss Ferreira some more lead roles. John Leguizamo, good job. In fact, great job by the cast all around. So, yeah, A+. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritland, and until we meet again, happy trails to you.